Excuse me.
Bless you.
Why do you think that you have the right to silence me?
I always said that I don't want to be heard, I want to be felt. I don't want to make my mark, I want to make my dent.
I didn't realize at the time that I was actually one of the biggest activists and largest organizers of white nationalism and alt-right in the United States.
They are what is considered by most people sort of your button-up white supremacists,
Oh,
your
there's my
suit and tie
keyboard. I'm like,
Nazis.
where my
Arguably,
keyboard
what
go?
they,
Hold on, hold on,
what
hold
they
on.
spew, while it's hateful and deplorable, is political speech, and so therefore it's protected under the Constitution.
Cops! Why are you letting the fascists down here? You got us blocked off, but you're letting the fascists come and harass us? We want them out of here now, damn it, or we're coming over the fucking barrier!
I can't walk in fear, and we don't walk in fear, you know, and I thank God for that.
Honestly, I wanted to make sure that when I left this earth, there would be something left behind that was worth a damn.
Hey y'all, how y'all doing? This thing is bright. Let me see if how's everybody doing? Beth couldn't make it today because she's dealing with family uh, um, obligations, holidays. And that's one of the reasons why this is going to be the last show of the year. So Lowe's with me.
Hello.
And you might remember her from working with us last week, um, interviewing Bomb from Warzone Distro. So and now I gotta tell you that was a really really good interview, and I was really happy that we was able to talk with him, and I hope a lot of people um, are able to uh, contact them. And if anybody's still trying to get a hold of him, there's their website right there. You, if you want to know what they're about, just go to last week's show. So how you been today, Lo?
I have been, it's interesting. We're having a really interesting day, not interesting year, interesting 2 days. Trying to really, keep our community together. I don't want to like say like country, but in this weird nationalist way, but like keeping our community together. We are a human community, and we have, tyranny has been amplified. I'm not going to say that that they have won. This is always going to be a battle. When I say we have to say that, liberation and freedom. These are verbs. It's not like a never. It's never going to be a one and done type thing. And we've gone through
Mhm.
periods of time where we had community, and we've gone through times where we haven't had community. But I always like to tell people this is that humans have been walking the earth for a very long time, and we've really been horrible to each other for only 2 to 3% of the time. Because if we had been acting like this before, we wouldn't have made it this long. So we know that it is really like natural for us to actually love each other and get along. And I know that sounds really cheesy, but that's how you survive. You
Yeah.
don't live this long if you don't get along with each other. And when I think about that, I'm like, roaches probably really get along. They work
I get
together
that.
as
I
a
get that.
team.
Hey, but you think about it like this. This is the season that we start trying to acknowledge that, where we actually try to basically be civil to each other, be charitable to each other. And it always angers me whenever you see the right try to have this war on Christmas. And it's like, we're not there on this during this season. I don't want to have to wonder when you say Merry Christmas if you mean it. It shouldn't be a pejorative, you know. But people take them to the side. I mean, people just basically kick them to the sides, I should say, and enjoy the season and reflect on what we have done over the past year. And that's what we should be doing and what we're going to do. We also reflect on what it is we're going to do in the year coming. And that's what's really important for everyone, especially us, because we're transitioning into another. How should I say? We're trying to do things differently around here at OPP. So I'm hoping that folks will be on board with what it is we do. Lo's going to be with us. You're going to be seeing a lot of things that she has produced, and I'm going to let her talk about it. What she wants to talk about here on that end.
Yeah, but I'm gonna tell you something, else that I think about, in regards to you and the work that you're doing. I think about, we're coming up on the 250th anniversary of the United States Revolution. And
250.
yeah, 250, yeah. And I feel like, we this is a period of reflection. We could have a new revolution. And keep in mind, revolution, there are a lot of ways to have revolution. There is a revolution of love, a revolution of caring, of cooperation, just a new way of doing things. We think about radical and pulling things up from the root. These are, and I think about you in regards to that. Like, how can we, we're progressives, we're the left. How do we do this differently so that next year it looks different than it did the last, this could be a new beginning.
Mhm.
And, that is kind of like, you know, what my project is doing, that I'm doing with my friend Kimberley. um we initially we run a podcast called Auto Asphyxiation, which is about cars, not about what you think it is, but it kind of is too, but it's not. It's about cars and how we are addicted to cars. But because essentially every war that we have started in the United States, and the since World War II, has kind of been behind oil, and that's kind of connected to the car. I know that's kind of a subjective thing to say, but there's definite, we can connect the dots of, we're fighting for oil since World War II.
Yeah.
And kind of like, okay, how do we create a situation where we are moving from antisocial methods and actions, which is like driving cars, and move to more pro-social things. And that's why Kimberly and I are starting a zine called Two Tone Urbanism, which is a website, but it's a zine. It's actually, we're gonna put it on a website because that's just how you get stuff out there. But we also plan on sending it to a war zone, but they're actually going to be like a brick and mortar. What do you call it? An analog? You can actually touch it. Scene.
It won't be made out of brick and mortar. You'll be able to carry it. Don't worry. This ain't the first
Yeah, yeah, you're gonna
Philadelphia's.
carry it, but maybe we should make some out of bricks. No, no, I forgot. We're doing it differently. We're doing things differently now. And I always, I think about, as you know, I call it, I'm an urbanist, a flaneur. I'm in urban planning, political economy, and I want to think about how can we live differently. Like, how can we live? How can we look at how we live, like affordable housing, transportation, but also like how do we relate to each other? And I thought about the two-tone music scene in the 1980s, right? You know about that. You know
well,
about ska
well,
and all that stuff.
it's weird because I missed all that whenever in the 80s, but I
Yeah.
saw it in the 90s when I got into the scene. When I was um when I was coming up, I was strictly R&B and you know um that early hip hop and
Hmm.
um that was my thing.
Yeah.
And I would always consider all the metal stuff as just being something kitschy that I would go look at and see if I like it or whatever. And I just keep forgetting that when I take these off, you can't hear me. But um,
Oh, I can hear you.
okay. No, but in any case, it's like I liked it whenever I saw two-tone groups,
Yeah.
two-tone bands. Like one of my favorite groups back in the day was the Time.
Mhm.
The
Mhm.
Time, and they only had one guy that was
Yeah.
white,
Yeah.
and rest in peace, Jelly Bean
Yeah.
Johnson, who just passed away a couple of weeks ago. But but that was one of my favorite bands, the Daz Band, one white guy.
Mhm.
Um, Thompson Twins, one black dude, but
Well,
he
well, I mean,
pissed me off. Uh, he pissed me off back in the day because he called himself a white guy with in black skin, and I was just like,
well,
I wasn't happy with that.
yeah, it was. I mean, I think the '80s was a very, very interesting time. And just to give people some background, two-tone urbanism is from the UK. It was a scene that emerged during the austerity austerity, like when Margaret Thatcher was like, we have to, there are no alternatives. Tina, working class Caribbean immigrants, youth, and white English and Irish youth were deliberately pitted against each other for the scarce resources by corporate media conglomerates. So they kind of started this theme where it's kind of like, we're not going to fight. We're going to get along with each other. We're not going to let them, and it's kind of like ska, it's kind of like reggae, it's kind of like punk. And essentially, were explicitly like, we are going to be multicultural. And it was like punk, it was like new wave, but ska is his own thing. And the ethos of ska was really like solidarity. And that is kind of why and I was still kind of very involved in it. When you see black and white checkered vans, it's part of that scene. Like that is that two tones vans, they're checkered vans.
Hmm.
It's kind of part of that, showing that solidarity. And I kind of want to like what we're doing is we're really trying to kind of not relive, but just kind of go like, let's actually figure out a way that we can get along, especially if you think about it. African Americans and white people in the United States, they try to say that we're different. But if you think about it, we're kind of pretty similar. If you've been here like 14 generations, 10 generations, and the thing is that, there at some point we need to like have a conversation and how we became like these well, we know how we became two separate things. We can go into like the Bacon Rebellion and all that kind of stuff. Um and I know a lot of people kind of like, well, this is, you know, the this kind of magazine is going to kind of celebrate that multiculturalism and the solidarity of people like working together and like and also explicitly talk about black and white solidarity, which I think we don't really talk about it as much as we need to, because I feel like it's still one of the major things driving oppression in the United States. Not to be like, okay, it's just that, but I'm saying it's a very useful tool for hegemony in order to get people to do harmful things. And not just white people, it can get people who are newly come to this country. They go, oh, okay, if we, essentially um, look at black people in a way that's, a dehumanizing fashion, this is a quicker way to come up in the United States. So we have to have these kinds of conversations. Um, and I mean, you might want to ask me some questions, so I'll just stop talking.
Oh no, people they'll hit the comments on YouTube whenever this comes up on YouTube,
Yeah.
and we can start talking to people then. Um, I'm really interested by with this project because you talked of kind of uniting black and white, but we're also talking about brown and yellow and red. I
Hmm.
mean, we're all out there trying to make sure that we come up, come together. We're one people's project for a reason. That's why we called ourselves that back in the day. Because we're also he basically in fellowship. I'm sorry, fellowship with people. But the the fact is, I think that's where you're going anywhere. It looks like that there's going to be a lot of um, how should I say, a lot of eyes opening up, a lot of things that people didn't think of. They're going to start thinking of after seeing what you put out there. Like, what kind of groups, when you talk about two tone and stuff like that, what kind of acts, what kind of people are you looking at that speak to what it is that you want to push forward in the 80s or what have you?
Well, I kind of want to like see new people kind of in the scene. I this project is something, right now we're still taking contributions for the first edition.
Mhm.
And the first edition is Vans and Friends, so you can like pictures of you with your Vans on with your friends, kind of like the two tones. So I guess in that regards, I probably am talking to a lot of Generation X people, who are kind of like remember, and maybe like even like older millennials who kind of remember that whole skater punk hardcore scene and the Vans, and kind of like, okay, but also bringing other people in. Like I have some people who are like 18 or so who are doing artwork for it, drawing pictures because they're they want to know about like I call it I call it do it together culture, but DIY culture. I feel like, a lot of times in the 90s we were very much like, we're independent, we don't need anybody, we can just do it by ourselves. But I think it's so very important to have um cooperation, to have community, to view that as something that's, I think that, like, I think about Flower Bomb and what, he was doing and the work that he was talking about, and how he was thinking about, solidarity and sharing work and sharing. And this is what this is what Kimberly and I want to do. We are our goal is to also use the two-tone zine as praxis on how to do cooperative economics. Like, how can we do the political economy differently? Because we still have situations now where people are kind of like they're doing a project, but it's like their project and there's theirs and they own it. how do we do political economy differently? How do we do demand and instead of doing supply side economics, instead of looking at Friedman as the only way, or the Chicago School as the only way to do economics. Why don't we look at some other people? Let's look at Amartya Sen. Let's look at just different people. Because I try to talk about people who are still alive. Talk about Stigler. Let's talk about, let's look at different ways we can do this. And I think I want this project to be, Kimberly and I want this project to be a project where everyone has a part of it. It's owned by not only the contributors, but it's owned by the audience. It's owned by the community that it's in. Like everybody has a place. Like I want to have, like we want to have a board, and if you're a person that picked it up, you could be on the board. If you're a person that contributed, you could be on the board. If you're a place where I distribute the zine, you can be on the board. So it's in this this way that's making it. I think one of the because the reason why I'm doing that also is because with cooperative economics they're saying a lot of times the reason why you can't have nonprofits that are cooperative is because it becomes like for the benefit of the worker. So in order for us to do praxis so that we can show that it's not just the benefit of one group of people, we're also including audience. We're also including the community that we are part of. So this is part art, part community, and part practice of how we can move beyond capitalism. I think that, we have to have this vision of imagining what we can do that's not, you know, uh, we call it a marijuana hummus version of of capitalism. That's what we kind of want to do. We want things to be centered around people. We want things to be centered around nature. I mean, I even think about like, when we're passing this out, like, are we going to use like bicycles? Are we going to use like public transportation? Like, I know this sounds really weird, but how can we be conscious in every part of this project?
Doesn't sound weird at all.
Yeah. Well,
Doesn't
thank
seem
you.
weird at all.
Yeah, yeah.
I
Well,
mean,
yeah, go ahead.
a lot of people are thinking like that these days. I we see people thinking like this all the time, but they don't, I guess, under understand how, or I should say, don't know how to apply. I think that's really what it is. And just so you know, I put a message in the chat for you, Lo, so I can make sure that everybody has
Oh,
your
okay. Yeah,
information.
sure. Yeah,
So
and I think that's go ahead.
no, but I was gonna say one of the things that One People's Project is trying to do over the next year is find a space where we can back actually meet in real time, not just online and just the way we've been doing it for like 20, 25 years. Um, Sometimes we got to see each other face to face, worked with each other face to face. So you and I were talking about a lot of the projects in the next couple of months that we want to do, and I hope that they all come to fruition. So, but go on. You there
No,
was more you want to say.
no, no, no. I mean, I'm just kind of like to me, I'm just okay. I'm looking. I think I got a little message from my friend. Let me see here. Oh, let's see. Let's see what's going on.
If she comes in, I'll help her.
Oh no, no,
I'll
yeah,
work
she.
on that.
That's why I told her. Hold on for one moment.
We have somebody else that's coming, and we are going to be hopefully having her on soon. Kimberly that Lo was speaking about, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's like, I mean, I think the thing is, I mean, and the thing is that she was, an anti racist skinhead.
oh, I
And
didn't know that part.
yes, yes, that's why she was so excited.
Wait a minute, where is she from?
Well, she is from New Jersey. She's from New Jersey, and when she gets on, she'll be able to tell you more information. But she
Or I
lives in,
might already know her.
She might be. She was from California. I mean, she was in California for a little bit, and now she's back here, and she is my co-host for my show. But I mean, the thing is that we always try to do things together. That's why I'm like, oh yeah. So
Oh, I hope she
yeah, yeah.
gets
So
in
we
here.
always try to do things together, which is sorry, look at that. I got my other thing because I'm trying to like share that. And I think, I know like I know that we're live, so I'm like trying not to be like too distracting when I'm doing stuff.
Oh no,
But
don't worry. We've
yeah,
been ad hoc since we started. So I
yes,
mean, this
yes.
entire thing. I mean, we had to cancel a show because we couldn't get things together. But so it's all good. Um, it's interesting too because when I went to that zine fest,
Hmm.
I met a woman. I got to remember her name. Black
Black
Girl
Girl
World.
World.
We got to interview again. I mean, I haven't posted the interviews that I did there yet, but I will in the next couple of days or so. Um, but I want her on the show. I haven't spoken to her yet, but I definitely would like to talk to her more because I think that there's a lot that we can just riff off.
Yeah, I think that she went to. I used to have a festival, book fair called the Black Girl Book Fair, and it was based on the anarchist book fair. It wasn't for black girls exclusively. It was for everyone. I wanted to, I guess, because I would go to like the anarchist book fair and I would go to different book fairs, and it seemed like I thought it was interesting that universal, like white men, always meant universal. So I tried to have a thing called the Black Girl Book Fair, and I invited everyone. I let everybody be part of it. So trying to change it so it's like so universal doesn't have to always be male and white. It could also be run by a black woman to kind of give people that idea, and we invited everybody. I think the Black Girl World, I think they came to our second one. I'm not quite sure, but it was like because I had my first Black Girl book fair in like 2014, and I think they came to
Mhm.
the second one in 2015, Black Girl World. um and I've been following them because I know they've been around since 2015, 16.
She's here. Hold on a moment. Let me just bring her into the world.
Oh good.
Hopefully this all works.
I
She
can
can
hear.
hear you.
I can hear you guys. Can you hear me?
I
Yes,
can
I
hear you.
can.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Uh,
I'm sorry because
great.
we were supposed to start at 7 and then I forgot. I don't know if I told you that we changed the time. I'm sorry about that.
It's
Now
okay.
you're
No big
here.
deal. Yeah,
Everybody
I'm
sees you
here.
now.
That's weird. I can't see her, but I can see you. But that's okay. We can all see all of us, so we're fine. Yeah, I was just telling him I was like saying that you were an anti-racist skinhead back in the day,
Yes, I
um,
was.
in New
Do
Jersey.
we know each other? Have we met?
It's anything is possible.
I mean, I had been in the scene since I was say 90, but
Okay.
I kind of like flooded out in like 2000.
I moved around a lot too.
Hmm.
I moved to Arizona when I was 22, and then I moved to California for a couple of years after I graduated art school. And then I came back, and all my friends were gone. So,
Like like
Oh
so many
man.
of Generation X, like what happened to all my friends? Like
yeah,
half of them are dead. That's not even a
Ooh,
joke, but I mean that's
that's a
that's
true.
it. No, it is very true. As a couple of my friends passed away, and a lot of other people just decided to move on. So,
hey. Oh, oh, great. Somebody's knocking. I'm on air.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing is, this is that, just to kind of go back to the show, um, I was telling him about the fact that we're going to do, while, for us, solidarity is so important for us. It's really important for us to like work together and work cooperatively, work together as a team, and also view our audience as part of the experience. So, like, whether you contribute or your audience, you're part of, and just like, you are also, Daryl, you're part of our team, but we're also part of your team. And I'm so excited to, like, work with you, and get One People's Project going, but also get Two Tone Zine started. Um,
And I'm going to contribute too. I'm going to
Awesome.
contribute. I just trying to think, what should I write? Give me an idea.
write about your time, when you were doing music, when you were not doing music, but when you were writing about musicians and you were writing about punk, in New Jersey. Like, I know that you had a whole video, like you had like your whole, I saw like you did it was a video from you in the 90s, like doing like photos, or doing recordings, right? Remember?
I did public access back in the day,
Yes.
and I can find that video somewhere around here. But I had a public access show called um, Channel Channel X. I had another one that was hosted by someone else, but I was the producer. It was called The Life We Lead, and you can find both of them on YouTube somewhere. And but yeah, I mean, you should see the videos that I have. I mean, I have. I was talking with my boy Luis, who's working on a book that my bio, and I was telling him that when you look at some of the stuff that I have, some folks you'll never hear from again, and others are just like notoriously famous. And this was all before all that happened for them. It was like the '90s, and oh boy, I should find some of the old video. I'm gonna let because you got to remember the bands that I was really cool to back in the day. You're talking about in the '70s. I'm '70s. I'm in New Jersey, so we're talking about the Bouncing Souls. We're talking about a band called Vision, uh, in Inspector Seven. Oh, you know them. Oh wait, I don't hear you. Did I
I
just lose your sound?
I think you might have lost her sound.
Yeah, you're not. We don't hear you. Why don't we hear you? Um, Something's wrong here, and hopefully our sound person is going to be able to come in and help with that.
Okay. No, it's so funny because I see the little vibrating of the thing talking, but I don't hear it.
Huh, hold on a second. Find out what's going on here. Speak.
Hello?
Maybe.
Yeah,
Yeah, there
there
we
we go.
go.
Yeah,
I
you're
fixed it.
back. You're back on
Yay!
air. Yeah,
Your
yeah.
mic was down. I don't know why.
I don't know what happened, yeah.
We want to make sure no squirrely people come on here and start causing trouble. You got two troublemakers on this show. That's
Three, three.
three. That's true. We got three
I can
Yay!
keep
troublemakers on
you.
this
I can keep
show.
up with you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But no, you was talking up. You was trying to say while I try to
Oh
find
no,
some video.
I was you were talking about Inspector 7. I know Inspector 7.
Oh, okay, so you definitely was in my scene.
Yeah.
There was. Oh man, I'm gonna look for this to see if I can suck it down from YouTube. But I remember one time they played um, with the Selector,
Hmm.
and it was probably one of my favorite shows. It was really one of my favorite shows back then.
I think you know what? I know you said you want to start doing your music show again. I think Kimberly should help you with your music show.
That'll be dangerous.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know.
But
Sometimes people don't want to know what I know about everybody.
yeah, well, that. I think we both have the same problem. People start talking about people, and we're like, I don't, yeah, anyway. But I think the thing is so great about New Jersey is that, you have so much history here. And I think that, even like your punk and hardcore scene, I feel like people don't really realize because you are so overshadowed by New York, people don't realize that there's history that's part of, and I think this is something that we want in July, the third edition of the two-tone zine is the new revolution theme. And I want to kind of talk about kind of old revolutions, and I hope that you also contribute to that because I do want to talk about like the punk scene, the hardcore scene, kind of like changing from like pop music to kind of like this underground scene that emerged in the 80s that exists that I think people don't even realize exists. And I think that's one of the things we want to do with the two-tone zine is to kind of show people the different sides, like kind of like with people, they're not just one side, they're multiple sides. Of course we're calling it two-tone, but there are multiple sides of people, there are multiple ways of looking at things, there are two sides to every story. I mean, of course, I'm really expanding on on what two-tone means. I mean, because it is though about solidarity, but also just about think about how people view New Jersey and think about what it is. New Jersey is the I say New Jersey grows New Yorkers. Also, New Jersey is
I had
essentially
never thought of it like that.
oh yeah, it is. And think about the falls, the industry. Essentially, the energy of industry in New York is based in New Jersey. There's so much like New York could not exist without New Jersey. And I know a lot of times that people are like, well, it wasn't for New York. New York could not exist without New Jersey. There's no way it could happen. We're a
You
relationship that
know,
is
they might want to kill you if you say that. They would. A lot of people. It's weird because a lot of New Jersey these days is comprised of people who was trying to get out of New York or the more urban areas of Jersey, like Newark. Like my family's from Newark, um, Jersey City, or Hoboken, or something like that. They come. So there may be something to what you're saying there, but I mean, when you start talking about where I grew up in the suburbs, we probably are just the people that are free enough down here to do what we want to do and then bring it up to New York and show them what we got. Maybe you mean it like that. I don't know.
No, I think so many people who I thought were New Yorkers in California, because the thing is that when people come to California, they come to Los Angeles, they always say this to New York, right? And I don't question it. I don't care. I'm not thinking about it. And then once I researched it, I'm like, oh, this person's from New Jersey. Like all of these people that I would kind of like, you know, um, not that this is anything to brag about now, but Glenn Danzig, he's from New Jersey,
Yes,
right?
he is.
Um,
Okay, now you're making the point.
yeah, I mean, it's like there's a whole bunch of people who are from New Jersey, but he was my neighbor in LA.
Oh,
Um,
really?
yeah, and essentially they don't say they're from New Jersey, they say they're from New York.
Yeah,
When they moved to
like
California.
the
So
kind of like the sports teams. We do
exactly,
Yeah.
that. I
My
exactly.
hate
stepmom
that.
went my stepmom went to high school with all of the misfits. They all went to Lodi High.
That's pretty wild. That's
I okay. I didn't go to school with them, but we all came from the same high school. Are you familiar with a metal band called God Forbid?
Yes, yep.
Okay. We all went to the same high school, but they were a couple of years behind me to the point that I didn't even see them. So, yeah, I mean, I think I'll use
We're
this one.
we're a
Yeah,
great state, and people
we
don't
are.
really don't realize that. And I'm a transplanted New Yorker. My parents moved out of the Bronx when I was 8. And we moved to, I don't know if you're familiar with Blairstown or Western New Jersey.
When you start talking about the West, um, no, not that much, not that much as I would like to.
That's where I grew up. I grew up in the 5% of New Jersey that's rural.
Yeah, well, when we were talking about like when Kimberly and I were talking about urbanism, and I was like, "This is the most urban state." She's like, "What? What are you talking about?" And I was like, and then I was like, "Where are you from?" And she's like, "Sussex." And it was like the one time where I had to be like, "Oh yeah, you are rural." That's like literally the only person that actually is the case. Like she actually is from the 5% of rural New Jersey, and that's
Yeah.
literally Blairstown.
Yeah, yeah.
And when I went there, oh, also Friday the 13th. So you also have Friday the 13th was also filmed there. So that's their claim to fame in
That's our
Kimberley.
claim to fame. Yes,
And
and they
Kimberley, those are their claim to fame. So it is pretty interesting. And then I mean, I feel like, you know, we could be an example. I think that's why we're doing the two-tone urbanism here because I feel like New Jersey, I feel like it can be an example of how to do urbanism better than we did it in Manhattan and even how we did it in LA. It can be an example of how can we do something cooperative? How can we preserve nature? How can we build up our public transit? How can we, because the thing is that we're so dense, we can have public transit here. And I know we have public transit into Manhattan, but what if we have public transit in the state the way they have it in New York? And I know people are kind of like, oh, I don't want to do that, but think about your car. Everybody here, think about your car and how much money we spend on our car. Um,
my
um,
car is a burden right now.
it is. A car is a
Same
burden.
here, but mine is running pretty good.
Yeah, it's a burden, but
After I
it's
paid
like this.
$300 for fixing it a couple of weeks ago.
But can you imagine what if we had a subway? We would have to go like, oh, how am I going to get to this place? You
Well,
know,
sometimes, I mean, I don't complain about public transportation, but sometimes you just need to be free from anybody telling you where you gotta go. That's why I drive.
well, I think the thing is this is that you have a point, and this is why our public transit in New Jersey is not good enough. Like
Yeah,
like in New York, you would
true,
never go if you're in Manhattan or Brooklyn, you would never go, I need to get somewhere as soon as possible. Let me get in my car. No one would do that. And that should be the standard. You having that standard for public transit in New Jersey is actually great. That should be the standard. It should be the standard that you're like, I need to go somewhere. I want to be free. And you're like, I want to be free, so I'm not taking my car. Like if I go into Manhattan, I want to be free. I'm not taking my car. I
true.
think that that's a standard, and that standard is not a problem. Like I think a lot of people feel like embarrassed. Guess what? Public transit shouldn't be like punishment. I'm not into this whole like masochistic transportation situation where you gotta ride your bike 20 miles uphill and you gotta wait for like 2 hours for a bus. No, no, I don't want that for you. I don't want that. We don't want that for anybody, do we, Kimberly? We don't promote
No,
that. That's sickness.
And
we
that's
want good
one of the
stuff.
reasons. And this is one of the reasons why I don't like how New York is laid out. Because what was his name? Moser.
Robert
Um,
Moses.
yeah, yeah. What he did, that crap that he pulled in regards to Long Island, where basically he built the the cities, I mean rather the streets, the roads, highways. So anything that's going out to Long Island couldn't a bus couldn't do it. He made it so that the overpass were low enough that both buses could not could not go under them, and that meant we couldn't. That's what his attitude was.
Well, I'll tell you something. If you read the book The Power Broker, by Caro, it's about Robert Moses, and I'm gonna tell you something. That wasn't even the worst thing he did.
I know.
He did so many horrible
I
things,
know.
and I think this is another reason why we're talking about two. Okay, my in graduate school, my project was called Closer. And it was called Closer because what I discovered in my research was that the reason why our public transit was so awful, the reason why our housing situation was so awful, we had this weird thing where we have residential here and we have urban over here. The reason why we have such horrible public services is because of anti Blackness. That has really been the tool to get our country to be dependent on the car, dependent, like, making public transit an awful punishment, making housing unaffordable, allowing people to be homeless because these are all things that are connected.
Hmm.
Um, and this is kind of when with two-tone urbanism, it's really kind of like exploring these things and how can we build solidarity so that we can build better cities, so that we can build. And another thing that's interesting also is that before, like around the 1900s, people who were not related they used to live together in New York. They would live together in communities,
That's
and
true.
also it was integrated. You have pictures, and they'll be like, oh, the ghetto, and they'll have like maybe they'll have the Jewish ghetto, or they have that wasn't called that, but they'll have like people who are Jewish, or they have people who are black, people who are Puerto Rican, et cetera, et cetera. But if you look in the background, you always see people of different ethnicities like hanging out with each other. They'll try to act like it was segregated. It wasn't segregated. The person who took the photo segregated the photo, but in the 1900s, they all lived together.
There
And
was yeah, you're absolutely right
yeah,
on
they
that.
live together,
You're
and
absolutely
then
right.
they said that essentially if you're living with people who aren't your family, that's socialist. So they started having this red scare, and it's kind of like, oh, because they realized if we had people who weren't afraid of each other, who live number one, if you live next to each other, you're not going to be afraid of each other. You might be friends with each other. You might work together. You might organize. You might create things. And so this is kind of why they created suburbia. They realized it's easier to control people if everybody has their own little house and we don't work together and everybody's like, I need to be free, I can't have all these people around me. And then it's like, the thing is that human beings need to have other people. And I think that in two-tone urbanism we plan to just really just kind of like pull that whole concept, the whole individualism from the root, and see like how cooperation is such a better, spatial solidarity, and also, how it's so important. But also, we want to talk about, connecting rural, exurban, and urban struggles, because really, if we if we don't get together in our urban communities, we create sprawl. And when you create sprawl, you start going out to these rural communities. You start destroying our wetlands. You start destroying our forest. You start cutting down trees. You start viewing everything as a commodity. And, it becomes harder and harder to get people to get people to work together. You start causing more and more pollution. You start, polluting the water. You start having data centers everywhere.
Yeah.
This is all connected. And I know it seems like it's like, wow, it's like this little project of four issues. So it's gonna be four issues. But it's really, I really want to have change the conversation. Like Kimberly and I really want to change the conversation on urbanism. We really want to change the conversation on living together. We really want to change the conversation on how we plan and build cities, and also how do we build pro-sociality? How do we build solidarity, in our physical spaces and in our electronic spaces and our art spaces, and just everything.
And I appreciate that. I appreciate everything that you're doing. Um, I don't know, Kimberly, do you have more to say about that? Actually,
No, honestly, Larko is she's the project lead. She's got such great ideas. I'm just happy to be part of the project.
well, I'm about to give everybody, as soon as I find out what the heck I do with it. Okay, now I guess I got to do it like this. Okay, I'm about to give everybody the link to everybody. If you want to talk to people about how to catch up to you, so I'm getting ready to post that.
Okay.
Let me see. Ah, there we go. We'll use this. one of the things that's really interesting about, oh, there we are. In case y'all don't know, I'm actually doing this a lot.
We're a live show.
Yes, I had asked Lo if she could give us information about how to reach y'all, and it has been provided,
Excellent.
which I'm going to give everybody in a minute. Just bear with me for a minute here now. And but yeah, this is one of the things that I'm looking forward to in the next year or so, because this is uh this is what we need to do. I mean, this is really what we need to do, especially considering how crazy our political climate, so to speak, has become. And where the heck am I at? Okay, so we have Sprawl, and what is Sprawl.com? What is that?
Sprawlism is part of the well. The thing is that you'll be able to find two-tone urbanism is going to be under sprawlism, but I already have the domain, but it's not up yet. So if you want to reach us, just go to sprawlism, and then from there you'll be able to find the zine.
And the YouTube um, page. What are we going to see when we go to that?
You're going to see auto asphyxiation.
Best explain that one.
It's a podcast about how we're addicted to cars.
That was too funny because they were wait a minute, we just went what the
It's all connected. You know, I can connect it all together.
All right, and as for us, One People's Project, um, we're going to be winding down at this time because it's almost 7 o'clock our time, and I want to I just want to say that over the past couple of months, we have been putting together this podcast, and I think we are getting there. But yeah, but I think next year is you're really gonna want to be here whenever we have this show. Um, but it's more than just a show. We're trying to find a space where we can bring you all in the sense of having events and a workspace, stuff like that. So we'll keep you awake, abreast to all of that. And but we're gonna need your help with all of that. We're gonna need your help with that, just like we needed your help a couple of months ago to keep us afloat. But now we want you to float with us, just like what we're talking about, what Lo and Kimberly is talking about now. We are all going to float together in a speedboat. And you can find us at onepeoplesproject.com. We have our email address, or rather our what you call it, our newsline at id idavox.com. And if you want to try to help us out with donations, remember we're um what are we?
You're a
Tax.
nonprofit.
Thank you. It gets weird, but I don't want to have to keep telling people that I had a stroke and but I guess I just did again. But in any case, this is not the last time you see Lo and Kimberly, and they'll be on the show hopefully quite a bit more. And you're also going to see them on Idafix. You're also going to see them on One People's Project, and we got some things planned, or we're planning the plan uh, for the next couple of months. So keep an eye out for what we do out there, and also if you want to be involved with anything that we're doing, just hit us up. Just hit us up. Antifa at onepeoplesproject.com. That's where you find us. That's where you find us. So, is there anything else y'all want to say before we get out of here?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having us.
Won't be the last
Yes.
time.
Yes, thank you so much for having us. We appreciate you, Daryl. You've been doing like this work for like, I guess 30 years now. I don't want to date you, but you've been doing it a long
I'm
time.
old.
So thank you for all the work that you've done. Especially with, the anti-fascist work, anti-racist work, chasing Nazis. We appreciate you.
I
Yes, we do.
appreciate y'all. I really appreciate y'all for coming out and being a part of all of this. And I am honored to help pushing everything that you're doing into the forefront. It will be bearing fruit at some point. I mean, we are going to do something next year. 26 is us.
Awesome.
26 is us. But
Awesome.
in any case, I want to thank everybody for watching, and we'll be back early January, and we'll have some more to talk about. Well, I already know what the next show is going to be about, but we'll hold off on that because we got some work to do too. It's not just trying to uplift ourselves. There's some folks we got to take down, and we still going to do that. So, I have a treat for you before we get out of here. In and let's just say I was inspired by Kimberley. A couple of years ago, in a club, to be more exact, October 10th, 1994, X Inspector 7 opened up for the Selector. They're a ska band out of the UK, and I videotaped the whole set. And this was a song of theirs that you probably hear Hub City Stompers sing, called
Yes.
Sharky 17. Well, this video features Shark. This is that TSOBs. That was the name of the club. And that's how we're gonna roll out. So everybody, we'll see you next year. You have a good holiday, happy new year, and yeah, take care, y'all. Peace.
Thank you.
Switch out those skins tonight. Wanna hear some boys? It's getting moist up here. Let's do it. Sharky 17, brand spanking new. Spanking. I said spanking. What's up, making
one good cause, and I even do spoken word on the thing. So head on over to bumpywastrike.com.